So I think my favorite book growing up was actually To Kill a Mockingbird. It was one of those books that, you're forced to read, but I actually really enjoyed it. I haven't had a whole lot of time to read recently. I've started reading to my daughter, which is a lot of fun. I always loved Winnie the Pooh growing up, and actually we were gifted Winnie the Pooh and Friends by one of our family members, and it's been really fun kind of reliving some of those memories that I've enjoyed when I was, reading when I was younger. I danced, I did tap, jazz, ballet, gymnastics, the whole works. And then once my brothers were born, I became a little more rough and tumble. I started to become more of a tomboy. I loved to play sports. I enjoyed getting outside and playing with my brothers. My dad was a really big soccer fanatic, so he kind of got us into sports young, but let us kind of explore all our options. So I played softball, I did swimming every summer, but soccer was kind of where my heart landed. I stuck with soccer throughout all of childhood. I ended up playing all through high school, and I still enjoy getting out and kicking the ball around now, if I get the chance. I grew up in the South Hills of Pittsburgh, and actually on my street there were a couple penguins. So from a very young age I was surrounded by hockey. My dad actually built an ice rink in our backyard out of 2x4s and a sheet of plastic. So each winter we had the opportunity to get out and skate, which really made hockey kind of more real life for us. And now my husband and I really enjoy getting out and going to hockey games. So whenever we kind of hit the playoffs, we always talk about whether or not we're gonna go for our anniversary, which is in May. If we can make it that far, that's usually what we end up doing as an anniversary gift. So my husband and I really enjoy the penguins, and I grew up around a lot of penguins as well. Giraffes are by far my favorite animal, so I brought my giraffe mug, and it's a mug because I also love coffee. And then this is actually a photo of an elephant that I took out in Colorado Springs. We were out visiting friends, and they took us to the zoo because you can actually feed giraffes at that zoo. So it was a really neat experience, and they knew I loved giraffes, so they took me just so that I could experience that at least once and pet a giraffe for the first time in my life. You're on a platform, so the giraffes are at kind of eye level with you on the platform, and they will walk up, and it's like lettuce, and you have lettuce in your hand, and they'll walk up and eat from it, and then once they lean over to eat, you can pet them, and yeah, so that was a really neat experience. I loved stuffed animals as a kid, and my favorite stuffed animal was actually a cat that looks exactly like this, only mine is tattered and worn. When I was young, my dad bought another cat so that when I had my first daughter, he would have my favorite stuffed animal for her when she was born. So he gave this to me the week that I brought my daughter home, and so this is hers. I'll let her name it what she wants, but I named all of my stuffed animals Elizabeth as a child. Hormonal me coming home from the hospital for the first time with my firstborn child, and he brings over like my favorite stuffed animal for my daughter. And it's from Kaufman's. The store doesn't even exist. I worked at the cancer center as a nurse, and I grew to love both the families and the patients. There obviously were some pretty tough times. A lot of our patients, especially adult cancer patients, don't do quite as well as pediatric. So a lot of the families were really struggling, but it was almost more rewarding to go through that with the families and walk those kind of hard times with them. I got to know the families really well, which was really rewarding. I still have some families that, I've run into here and there, and they welcome you into their family, and that's a really special thing. As a practitioner, you think, yeah, okay, so they should sleep on their back, they should be in their own separate space, they should be, exactly taken care of by the book. And then it happens to you, and you realize how much sleep deprivation changes you. You realize how much that little being has changed your world. And I now realize that I have to take a step back and think, okay, so these are the guidelines and this is what's truly expected, but here's reality. Reality is a little different than textbook, which is kind of eye-opening, but it's a great learning process. My mom is a physician. I grew up loving kind of the medical field in general. As a young child, always said I wanted to be a doctor. As I got a little bit older, I realized I did not want to be a doctor. I didn't really want my mom's schedule. So I decided that maybe nursing was for me. It took me a while to get there, but once I got there, I realized I loved it and I really enjoyed it. I got to know a lot of families. I got to help families kind of through most of the hard days through the hospital and everything. And then I realized that I could do a little bit more for those families. I could help them through some of those hard times, and I could be kind of the education for them. And that's when I decided to go back and become a nurse practitioner. And Pediatrics was the place that I was meant to be. And I always enjoyed taking care of the kids, and they always brought a lot of joy to me. And so I decided to go back for my pediatric nurse practitioner degree. Realistically, I think the most fun thing about working in pediatrics is, one, getting to know the families. You grow alongside them. You get to know, the hardest times for the parents when the kids are newborns, and the kids may not remember that, but the parents will. And then as the kids get older, they start to remember coming to see you, and you get to kind of grow along with them. You hear about their school, their activities, all that fun stuff. And then I think my other favorite thing is kind of the comments that the kids make. You never know what's coming out of their mouth, and I never leave any day without at least one laugh, and it's always brought on by a kid.